call the meeting to order at 9:38. Present are Lisa McGonigal, Bill McGowan, Paul Kears, Wayne Sawchuk, and Dan Coughlin. So we look and see what our next meeting may be. Let's see here. I think we're looking at the 12th of April. Is that good for everybody?
It's good to me.
Okay, with me.
Okey-doke.
Are we at 10 a.m. or 9:30?
It doesn't matter to me. Either one is fine. I
Let's
don't
do
care.
9:30. Let's do 9:30. See how it goes.
All right. Fine, okay. So do we have anybody from the Cook Estate on?
So we have no one from the Cook Estate.
Oh,
Oh, Pam, sorry.
I'm
Pam.
here. You know, it's funny, I can't start my video either. I just thought I was purposely just keeping it off. I don't need it, I guess. I just want to let people know I did go in front of the advisory committee last week after going in front of the select board the previous week to give a presentation on why the Cook Estate should be allowed to connect to sewer. And both groups endorsed it unanimously, so that's good.
Pam, have you heard anything from the Cook Estate as to progress or not, or?
I haven't heard anything in the last week or so. Unfortunately, I assume they were going to be at the meeting this morning.
Yeah, we had some questions for Greg to clear up, and that was on about the easement and who should be listed.
Yeah, was he invited to this meeting as well? Greg
Don't
Corbo?
know.
I don't know, Lisa, was he invited?
No, I thought that we said no. It wasn't necessary last week.
Okay,
All
Yeah,
right,
so
I'll write it down. I could check in with them after this meeting then.
Yeah,
Find
so
out
the
what's
whole question for Greg was, Cook is entering into an agreement with their abutter. And then there has to be an easement given to the town, but I think both parties would have to give an easement because the Cook Estate with the abutter is just a financial arrangement. But once the sewer line is in and it gets conveyed to the town, then we need the easement to be able to go on the property and work on the sewer from time to time. So we think we need an easement from both the Cook Estate and the abutter.
Yeah.
But that's we're waiting on Greg to tell us.
Right, he was supposed to reach out to the Cook Estate lawyer after the last meeting, so I'll find out where
Okay,
that stands, if he did that and where they are.
I think it's important that we only have the easement for the main line and we don't take an easement from their pump into their house so that we're not getting involved with, the maintenance of that and the access and things like that, which is really stays with the owner of the property. Know what I mean?
Mhm.
yeah. Easement on main line, okay.
Because obviously we spent a couple of years getting rid of the easements for Hull Street area and stuff like that because it made it so that we're responsible for everything for the rest of our life.
Yeah.
So that shouldn't necessarily come up as a key point. It just is something that when we see it, we'd like to just see the 20-foot path through the 2-inch line, if that's the line that goes in there.
Okay,
We will, or someone will. Yeah, the Cook Estates is going to put in a pump and connect on to that 2-inch. But that's no different than anybody going down the street and tying into the main in the street.
right, understood.
Okay, good.
okay. So Lisa, can you ping Jane and just see if she will be available for the next one?
Well, I guess it's up to whether or not there's action on the part of the are they going to be able to get onto the property for the engineers to be able to finish their work before the easement is corrected, or does the easement have to be done before they're going to spend any more money to do the engineering?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, Lisa, actually, I was gonna say, I saw Jane in the audience there.
Oh, she's here.
Sorry,
Sarah.
no, it started at 9:30. I apologize. Oops. So people can get on the, I just joined, so I don't know what I heard the last piece of that. The Haggies will let us get on even if the easement isn't completed. I believe that the surveyors may have been on site. I'm not in Cohasset, but I was told by one of the board members that the surveyors were on site yesterday. I don't know what they did, but the Haggies had said we can go on their property even before the easement is registered.
Okay, perfect.
So.
That makes the most sense. So because
yeah.
the engineering is where we need the permit. If you don't get the permit, you can't go on the property. It's the whole thing.
Got it. It's all a big circle.
Yeah, and
So,
we won't be doing any work on it until the easement's done, or you won't.
great.
But you
What would
certainly
be-
want to have the permission to do it. You want
Absolutely.
to know where you're going with it.
Yes, and what would be helpful to me is if it could coordinate at all. Our lawyer suggested that before we step on their property, we just inform Brian Haggie that we're doing it. That I don't think happened yesterday because I wasn't aware of it. But if you guys have people going on that property, if you can simply zip me an email, I will let Brian know that we're going to be on property. Even if it's the same timing, we're just have to go on for 10 minutes, and I don't mind doing that with Brian, but I think that would be really helpful.
I don't think that we need to be on it at all.
Oh, great. It's just the survey.
strictly engineer. Yeah.
Right.
Great.
Jane, do you know if Greg Corbo, our town council, reached out to your lawyer yet?
He hasn't even sent me, I had asked him the last time 2 weeks ago, and I just haven't followed up to send me his contact information, and I would link him in with the lawyers, and he never has done that. So I don't
Okay.
believe he's done that yet, but I would love, if somebody can send it to me and I'll just link it. I could probably
Yeah.
look it up online too, but if Lisa or Pam, you could just send it to me, it would be great.
Yeah, I'll do that right now, Jane.
Thank you. And his contact stuff. So
Yeah.
I'll have Ellen Shapiro, who's our lawyer, and she's in contact with his lawyer. So I'll link them in.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else?
All right, so just as an action item, Pam, you're going to get a hold of Greg and the Cook Estate attorneys, get them together in a room and figure out what we need to do as specific to the easement language.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't know who the right person on this call is, but one of the things that our board was asking me about, and Sean was not on my call last night, and I haven't had a chance to get to him this morning, is an evaluation. Our houses already have sewer pumps that are, I know Mahoney is the one that you guys use for the town and that we use. And whether it's the right model that will work with the sewer versus a septic, and who would be the expert at that on this call?
So Dan Coughlin is
Probably.
our subject matter expert on that.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends which model you have. Do you have an
Yep.
older one or do you have the extreme version?
Yeah,
You know?
a lot of ours, they're all relatively new, and many have had to be changed out because, they failed because we put the wrong stuff down, and like us. But Dan, it's you, so I could put Sean in touch with
Certainly.
you to see if
Yep.
the model, and get Mahoney involved, because I think he installed them and he maintains them.
Yeah, I mean, if they're the extreme unit, they should have plenty of head to get to the location that we have. but. it's
Great,
always
that's
good
what
to
it's
check.
called, extreme.
Yes.
Okay, great.
So Dan, these would be part of the plan that they would be submitting, right?
It should be, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I was just hoping, because if we have to change out 27 at 2,500 a pop or whatever the number is, that's, we were just trying to estimate some of the costs, and I know we're a little early on that, but Dan, it's the extreme model, that's what it's called?
Yep, the extreme version has a higher head condition, and so long as they're all the same type of pump, there should be no issues. The only problem you have is when one is an older version in the system. So it'd be good to confirm with Mahoney what pumps are installed at the site. They should
Yep.
have a listing and serial numbers for each and every pump. So they
Great.
should be able to tell you.
Perfect. And I think I pretend like I know what I'm talking about, but we have about 7 of our homes are on gravity fed versus the,
Force
push.
main, yeah, force main, yeah.
forced.
Yeah.
And I don't know would those homes also have a pump if it's gravity fed?
I think probably the simplest solution would be to put a common pump station for those 7 units. It would
Okay.
probably be an oversized E1 unit with
Okay.
possibly 2 pumps in it.
Great. Okay. Well, Sean will be doing the engineering on that, but I just didn't know. I was guessing they did not have pumps if in a gravity fed system, but I just don't know enough about the subject to know that.
Yeah, instead of putting in 7 pumps, it's probably more economical to put in a single pump station for those 7 units.
Perfect. Thank you. And that may well be the case if we have to change out a bunch of older model ones too, but we'll get there. I don't have any other updates on our end. The easement's moving forward. It sounds like Pam, does this, because it's an article in the town meeting, do you go in front of the advisory board? I know you went in front of the select persons board, but do you go in front of the advisory board as well?
Hi, Jane. Yep, I just did that last week. And
Oh, great.
so it was accepted unanimously or
Perfect.
yeah, by both groups, both select board and advisory. And so,
Thank you.
and I'll also go to the town meeting as well.
Great. And we can talk about what you need from us at the town meeting. Whether, I should be prepared as the head of the board or, we'll get our residents there, but is there any, or whatever. So we can talk about that offline.
Yeah, it
Right.
sounds good. I would think at this point, rally
Pam-
as many people as you can. That'd be
Yes,
my advice.
absolutely.
I think it's down to just one article at this point, right? And that's just adding them into the sewer district.
Yep,
Great.
Is there 2?
there's just one.
It's one, right? It's just adding them to the sewer district.
It's just to connect. Yep, exactly.
And
So-
we're,
So the only boards that you needed approval on really is sewer, the selectmen and advisory. Are those the 3 boards, Pam?
I believe so.
Okay.
that's what I was gonna ask next. Okay, great. There's nobody else. And is there any movement on discussions on the betterment?
No, we haven't taken a look at that aspect of it from our end.
I believe,
We
yeah.
need to we're working with Greg because we have to draft an agreement.
perfect.
Yeah,
I didn't want to let that piece get away from us, so that if you're looking for a big bunch of money for 27 homes, that, that's in process, because we would really very, very, very much prefer to have, I know it's paperwork, I know it's administrative, but to have the option of a betterment for our properties.
right. So just so you know that the language is not going to be betterment. That term is not going to be used. It's going to be a separate agreement with the sewer commission.
That's perfect. I don't care what the words are. I just care
Okay.
that it.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
there's an ability-
Betterment has a defined
Okay.
use for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So that's not a term we're going to be using.
Perfect. That, I don't care what, thank you for that correction. And, but as long as that piece continues to move along, I can let our residents know that, we'll have to come up with the dollars right away for the construction, but hopefully they can finance whatever way they want of that.
Yeah, that was addressed by Greg in front of the selectmen because that was Article
Okay.
19 proposal that was withdrawn. So
Perfect.
he did explain that and everyone was
Thank-
satisfied with the answer.
Thanks. Perfect. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, why don't we move on if we're all done with Cook for the moment. Lisa, I think you mentioned yesterday or the day before that Pleasant Street has been, they're off the agenda.
Yes, that's correct.
Have they rescheduled?
No, I left it in their court for when they're ready to reach out.
Okay. Chief Justice Cushing.
All right, let me promote.
Exclude.
Yeah, it looks like we have Mark from Mark Antony from Tetra Tech.
And Alfred Morgan as well.
Okay.
So I believe that the reason for Tetra Tech to be on was to discuss the Mass DOT
Right.
permit.
And the key question on this is whether or not they have to go down the center of 3A with the pipe, or whether they can go on the shoulder of 3A when the pipe. And I guess there are still two crossings anticipated, one at Tupelo Road Pump Station to have it go off to the side and go into the pipe going under the road. And the other is to avoid the water main that's in a section of 3A down the shoulder. So, and I'm not in favor of going down the center of the street. I think the engineer, I'd like to get their opinion on that as well in front of the board as the permit application goes forward, because any work on inspecting manholes or anything else like that will require a police officer, because you're not going to walk out in the middle of 3A with your pickup truck or get into your pickup truck to try to be able to lift a manhole cover and do any type of maintenance work or checking on flows or anything like that. And then secondly, it really almost prevents anybody else from connecting on, because you'd have to go under the road, which after it's repaved during the construction can't be done for at least 5 years. And so that's a problem. So unless you put sleeves or stubs across to each of the properties, it would be unlikely that any of the properties would be used for the sewer. That's my comment.
So Mark, can you give us an update on where you can answer these questions for Wayne?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My video is not working for some reason, but I can talk.
It's on our end.
Yeah, so I'm not allowed to stop my video because the host has stopped it. I'm not sure why, but anyways, I can talk through and try to answer your question. So
before you go on, let me ask the sewer commission. The only way I can allow anybody to start their video at this point is by making them co-host.
I don't
Do you have
see-
any-
I mean, that's no
Do you have
problem.
any, do you need to share your screen, Mark?
I don't need to. I can talk through it, I think.
Okay,
But if
yeah, why don't
need
we try
to-
that? Why don't we
Yeah,
just move ahead?
Okay, so originally, when we first met in the beginning of the project design, we met with MassDOT to have a discussion with them about traffic control and about the plans and so forth. And they originally did not want to do a detour. And that was the early indication from MassDOT, from the permits in the department. So we designed the sewer line to go on the shoulder of the roadway so we can maintain 2 lanes of traffic in each, 1 lane in each direction during construction. And that's why we chose the shoulders of the roadway within the pavement surface area. Following that guidance from MassDOT. So how MassDOT works with their process, you initially you design it, you have the local sewer commission approve the drawings, and then you submit the drawings for MassDOT access permit. And we did that. And now what they've started is a comment resolution form, and they invited other people. And this is a new policy from them. We did this for other design projects. We started this RCR form for design projects, not for permit projects. This is a permit project. So with this, they invited the Deuce, which is the utility engineer, and some other folks for environmental. And as they go through the process there, new individuals started to review the drawings, and they provided new guidance or recommendations or comments. And this particular person that we reference as the Deuce utilities engineer, he or she wanted to have the sewer main down the middle of the roadway. For whatever reason, maybe it's a standard practice. And it is a standard practice for subdivision roadways when you're building a new roadway. But now when you don't have to maintain traffic. But this particular case, we need to maintain traffic. And then the person or the Deuce suggested to do a detour system. Now, we're not opposed to doing a detour system here, but you have to understand if you do a detour, you have to have one lane of traffic maintained on the roadway proper. And then you can use another local roadways. And that requires local approval too from the police and fire and other town departments. So since then, we answered the mail with the DOT. We provided them new plans with the detour as requested. We still kept the sewer main on the shoulder of the roadway. And we do, in this detour system, we maintain a northbound traffic during construction. So you're going to have a lane shift when you're on the northbound side in the beginning of the project as you're going downhill, going southerly on Route 3A. And then we switch over to the southbound side. And then we switch back over by Tapella Road, the pump station. So we will maintain traffic, and we came up with a solution to maintain traffic northbound at all times. And then we used a detour system using King Street on the southbound side, going southerly on Route 3A, King Street to Pond Street, and this short distance of a detour. And then you're back on to Route 3A. And that's done for the life of the project. And there's benefits to do this detour, provided the town is in agreement to this, is that it may shorten the schedule. It allows the contractor to work more freely. And it may expedite the project time-wise. So you reduce the schedule on this, and there's a potential of doing that. So I think I answered your question about why we chose one side of the road versus the middle of the road. It's all based on traffic control. And that
Right, so we're under the impression that DOT wanted it down the center, and you're telling us that they originally suggested that, and now you resubmitted with it on the side of the road, which is preferable. Have you had a response back from them yet on that?
So no, let me just back up a little bit. Our first meeting with the DOT, they did not want to do a detour. Okay, so that's why we went to the shoulder of the roadway. So that way we can maintain 2 lanes of traffic, 1 lane each direction. With that design philosophy, that's what we submitted originally back in November. And that was the commission, the sewer commission approved the drawings. These drawings have gone to the DOT. They've also gone to Cohasset Conservation Commission, and we have an order of conditions. And those approvals went to the DOT. And now they're reviewing the process. And usually the process is relatively quick. It's usually 30 days, 40 days of process. But now they've gone through a comment resolution form, and they invite other people and they write down these comments, and then you have to reply to them. And since we replied to the comments, and I think I provided them to the commission, our responses, we have not heard back. How big?
I don't know, it's a bigger one. Where the hose fits on his vacuum machine. So he going to Lowe's to get a hose.
Okay.
He'll be back.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just back up a little bit. There was a little bit of noise background. So the drawings have been revised and we submitted new drawings on the 15th of March to the DOT. And they've
With
asked-
this, yeah, with the manholes not down the center, correct?
Correct. We did not
Okay.
move the sewer main. All we
Okay.
did, we provided them a detour plan for using King Street to Pond Street on the southbound side. And they've also asked for hatching of the mill and overlay section. And so we did that. That was just a graphical representation of what the areas were going to be milled and overlaid. And that was just a question for them. It was clearly marked in the plans, but they just wanted some other visual notation, if you will, or hatching on the plan set.
Mark, this is Wayne. Have you, did you send a set of those plans to our consulting engineer, Dan Coughlin? Because it seems as though he's not getting some of the submissions.
This was not submitted to the commission. We're still working out the details with the DOT. I plan to work out the details with the DOT, get their approval, and then I will provide you a new plan sets. So this
Okay,
was
but
only submitted.
Mark-
So this, yep.
Um,
Yes,
The permit is, the permit is really being gotten by the town of Cohasset. You're working for, a private developer and stuff. I think it's important for us to have a say in where the pipe is going to go down the street. And I look at it as them saying, this is what we want you to do, not this is something that you were going to do in the beginning, because it was never intended to get down the center of the street.
that is
Yeah, so
correct.
the original plans weren't down the center of the street. DOT suggested they go down the center, and Mark did not resubmit anything with the sewer going down the center of the street.
That is correct.
All he
you
said,
saw
all he
the-
said, yeah, all he said to them was, it's still on the side of the road, but we're going to give you a detour plan instead.
Okay, because I never
Yep.
saw a set of plans where it went down the center of the road. I wasn't, until I
So we're-
read that last submittal from the answers to the question is that I heard that it was going down the center. And then I talked to Brian Joyce about it, and he said, well, that's sort of common. I don't think you're going to change that. And that's why I wanted to be sure that we were not going in that direction.
Yeah, all plans were not, there are no plans with it going down the center. That was just a suggestion by somebody at DOT who was kind of new to the process. in
Right, but
this
you just
application.
said
Yeah.
that though, but you
Yeah.
had just said, I saw a set of plans that when it have it going down the center of the street. Is that true?
I've never seen a set of plans with it going down the center.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I heard, that's what I just heard you say that you
Okay.
did. Okay, so,
Yeah, yeah, DOT never saw plans either. They're just suggesting it goes down the center. So I think all the plans we've gotten so far are on the side. So I think
Right,
we're
but
still
I don't-
good, yeah.
Okay.
How strong
So
is
I'm just
DOT's opinion?
I'm sorry. I've just been
Yeah.
afraid that they're going to go through, going down the center of the road, and I didn't want that to be the case. And so, and I think the board should determine that should not be the case also.
Yeah, I agree.
I-
There,
I think it would be complete shite show if we were to put it down the center of the street, and the amount of sort of public backlash would be enormous.
If I may, putting it down the center of the roadway would not allow traffic to travel on either direction on Route 3A. So you would shut down both the northbound side and also the southbound side. It would not be feasible to maintain
Yeah.
traffic into a.
Mark,
into a-
that's during construction, okay? And everybody knows that's construction. It's after it's in that bothers me for the next 25 or 50 years, that anytime anything happens with that gravity sewer line, you're going to have to stop traffic. You're going to have to police detail. You're going to have all these other issues. And if you have a problem, you're going to be digging up the center of the road, and that would cause the lack of being able to go in either direction.
Oh, yes, we have not recommended or prepared a set of drawings that showed or indicated the sewer main to go down the center of the road.
Okay,
And we're not in favor of putting the sewer in the center of the road.
Okay.
So I think we're all saying the same thing.
Yep.
Just that we're answering a question or a comment from the DOT, District utility engineer. We have not received comments back or a response. What they need to do in this part of this RCR format that MassDOT has elected to use in their permit side now. So a reviewer provides a comment, the designer responds to comment, and then they have resolution on it, whether the reviewer agrees with the comment or says, no, I want further information, or I stand by my recommendation and I want the sewer down the middle of the road. And I don't think that's going to happen, because I think the person is going to realize that you cannot construct a sewer and still maintain traffic.
Right.
Maybe the person didn't think of that while the person provided the comment.
Now, are you going to be able to have turn on and turn off traffic during non-construction days or evenings or something like that?
Yes.
Or is the one way or the alternative path going to stay in effect like over 24 hours at a time?
No, that's not the intention. The intention is only to use the detour or any kind of traffic control during the actual work in progress, during the shift. At the end of each shift, that roadway will be paved with some form of pavement, whether permanent patch or temporary patch, and restored for travel at night or at the end of the shift.
Okay.
I believe I saw Brian Joyce on. I wonder, Brian, do you have any comments on behalf of the town overall?
No, I think I don't want to confuse the issue anymore, but no, I think it's typical to see the state just come up with you know, a comment sheet that you need to reply to, and my comment was on the center of the road, and was that I think it would, if it did go in the center of the road, it you know, on the crown of the road, we wouldn't have any surface flow or I&I if there was something wrong with the manhole. But I think it's not as big a deal popping manholes in the street, but again, that's obviously easier on the side. And if everybody, which it sounds like, wants to go to the side, I'm completely okay with that too.
Okay. So I guess we're just waiting for the state to get back with whatever comments, and then we're pretty much set. Is that true?
Yeah, I would just ask Mark if you could email kind of the comment responses or your replies to the comment sheet, and then I guess a latest set of design drawings. It'd be helpful just to digest that.
Well, I believe I sent Lisa the RCR form last
You
week.
did, you did, Mark, and I did distribute it to everybody, Brian, on Thursday.
Okay, and that includes the replies to the comments.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, his replies.
Thanks.
Would you
No
like?
current plans, though.
Would you like
I'm-
me to forward the March 15th design drawings to show the
Yeah.
detour for reference?
Please.
Okay, my intention is, I can do that. I can do that today. My intention is it has always been to share the final set that's been approved by the state with the commission.
Okay.
And I have to, you know, we have to gather up the order of conditions. We have to gather up the town's approval, the sewer commission's approval, and then we have to, any conditions from DOT as part of the permit process. That gets wrapped up into a contract, which is given to the contractor, and the contractor has to follow all the rules and regulations that's laid out before them, from the order of conditions to the sewer commission's regulations to the MassDOT permit or conditions, whether they're standard or special conditions they apply. And sometimes they may have time constraints or what have you, depending on traffic.
Okay, so Mark, since we're now at the end of the month, basically, could you give us a tentative plan for April that has some bullet items on there, like we anticipate hearing back from the state by this date? We plan on, you know, moving forward with some sort of action on these following dates, so that we could have a look at what we think is going to happen in the month of April, and then how much time we have to allot for Dan to go inspect certain aspects of what's moving forward.
Sure. I believe that we're doing the inspection on the overall project from, so we can cover both MassDOT and also the sewer commission work.
Yes, if it's comprehensive of a plan that you have for us, so we know what's going on.
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah. And
Right
if
now,
you-
the work was, I originally wanted the work to start April 1st or April 4th. But now they're waiting for the comments from MassDOT. Those comments are, I can tell you, we expect them any day now. And
Okay.
from that comment, if they give us, if it's resolved, all the comments are resolved, then we go and move forward, the permit is issued, then we do a pre-construction meeting with the DOT, and it's a DOT meeting. They run that meeting where the town is invited to the pre-construction meeting. The utilities are invited, and also the fire department and police department are invited. for
Okay.
traffic control. And they run that meeting. Typically, I've gone to District 5, and they run a tight ship there. At least the prior permits engineer.
Well, if it's helpful, you can put a decision tree there for MassDOT that says, if yes or approved, these are the actions that will occur. If no, then we have to go back and do X, Y, or
Yeah.
Z. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
we might have to go back and answer
Yeah.
a few lagging questions, if that one particular person has further questions.
My
we
only
just need-
comment, sorry, my only comment is if there are design changes, the sewer commission approved a set of plans. So if there's any design changes from that original set of plans, then I think the commission needs to see that before the final permit's issued. By MassDOT. You don't want to go back and revise the permit. So I think it's important that the commission sees any changes in the plans.
Correct. If we move the sewer line, we'll submit a new drawing set to the commission.
And you said you've already been through conservation?
Yes.
Okay. I'm all set, Bill.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else have any comments? Wayne, Dan?
Thank you.
Just a point of clarification, I think Mark's doing resident inspection on both the projects for Stasco. The sewer commission still has us to do periodic inspection on this project.
Right.
And I just want to make that clear to Mike.
Sure. No problem there. We can talk through the schedule as we move forward, and namely the pre-construction meeting, and just like similar to what we did with the emergency DEP installation back in December, we can keep you informed about the project. Not a problem there.
Okay.
I just have one question. This is Brian. Just on the schedule, the overall schedule, is the intent to hit this construction season?
Yes,
Okay, thanks.
it's about 12 weeks of work roughly, so 3 months. The sewer main will go in proper pretty quickly, and then you have to have the restoration, the mill and fill, and the restoration of the pavement markings.
All right, so the intent this summer. Okay, thanks, Mark.
Correct. Yes, it is.
Okay. All right, if we have nothing else, we can go on to other business, and I think we have Corey is on the line. I don't know, at least if you can promote him.
All right, thank you. Take care now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks,
bye-bye.
Mark.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
How are you?
Doing good.
So just as a preamble to everybody, I spoke to Corey the other day, and he had some updates as far as procedure and what have you with regards to regional and how we do it. So I asked him to join us for a quick update. So Corey, it's all yours.
Yeah, so, and just for a quick recap, as I understand it, and Bill, let me know if I've got anything wrong here. Just, I do know that your board took a look at the memo of understanding that Situate had summarized based on the meeting that we had a few weeks ago, myself, Bill, Jack Creighton, Chris Senior, and the Situate contingent. It's my understanding that you guys would like another follow-up meeting with the parties in Situate. And at this point, the select board hasn't discussed this yet. So tonight we're going to, Chris Senior is going to present the memo to the board, and the board is just going to give some feedback on it. And the idea being that then we can give you guys, the feedback from our board. And so you guys can move forward with whatever discussions you need to have with Situate with the clear understanding of the select board's, position or whether it's, if they endorse the effort or if they've got other questions. So that's going to be on for tonight, just for the select board to get an update and get some feedback on it.
Yeah, so we took a look at that original memo and we sent it back with some recommended changes to it. We haven't heard back from you or anyone else, town manager. We did discuss it with our counsel, Greg Corbo, and he agreed that whether it's going to be called a memorandum of understanding or some sort of letter of intent or whatever we want to call it, that it was non-binding and that some of the language would be adjusted, not committing us to anything other than discussions.
Yeah, Paul, I think that's an accurate summary. It's a non-binding. It just puts, as I said, it's just a guideline for what needs to be discussed. So yeah, that's certainly the thing. Certainly the correct understanding.
Okay, so the last group meeting was you, Bill McGowan, and Chris Senior with Situate, and that was what, 2 weeks ago?
3, I think.
Yeah, and my colleague, Mr. Creighton, was there as well.
Okay, so are you only discussing things with Situate when all three of you are together, or are you still talking with Situate by yourself?
The select board isn't having any discussions with Situate.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out where the process is. So, because if we only had a meeting 3 weeks ago, we haven't got back together since then about, what we need to do based on what their concerns are for moving forward. So, the last our board heard was that, we had that memorandum of understanding that we were looking at, and we haven't heard back from anyone other than Bill's update from the initial meeting. So is there another meeting with the three of you coming up?
Oh, no, there isn't. No. So the, sorry, I didn't quite understand the question, Paul.
Yeah.
There is no meeting coming up yet between the three of us. Bill expressed that, you guys had additional questions, and it would maybe beneficial for the sewer commission to sit down with the representatives from Situate. And that's what I'm going to report to the select board as, the next step here is really the sewer board, diving in and making the changes. And if the select board can, just be behind your effort, it just makes it a little bit cleaner.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and just to remind everybody that when I reported back, there was a request that we vote, and Paul, both you and Wayne had additional questions, which sort of triggered my thought of actually having a session with Situate and just us and them.
Yeah.
Yep. The also, I'd like to make a couple of things is Brian Joyce and I had a discussion about what the quantity is that they wanted. Originally, it was like 180,000 gallons. And then someone said, well, maybe we could make it 150,000 gallons. And I think Brian and I are in the ballpark of 100,000 gallons a day. And there's got to be, but there are other alternatives that Situate could do that haven't been discussed at all, or if they've been discussed, they've just been overlooked. And that is the possibility of a dedicated pipe going from Situate to Hull. And likely, down 3A, down the railroad bed or some other areas that would take a lot of the guesswork and potential problems off of us from maximizing our flows to the plant and distribution through pipes that really weren't intended to have the flows that high going to Hull. So I think it'd be very difficult to go ahead and where we have a 6-inch main or 3-inch main and bring that all the way through Cohasset, up the streets, Jerusalem Road, all this other stuff, and get into a place in Situate there it can be connected to properly. On the Situate side, I would think that I would want to do a deal that doesn't restrict me too much in flows. Otherwise, I'm not going to have the ability to sewer areas that are significantly mine it and all these other areas that could be polluting the ocean or could be polluting other wetlands that goes into the harbor and everything else. And it really could stymie their, development of additional businesses or anything else. So my point is that I'd like to talk to Situate and say, what's the best thing you want to do? And then I want to have my engineer say, these are why you can't do this or this or this because of, actual issues and pipe sizes and stuff like that, that the Situate people don't know what size pipe we have going anywhere. They're just under the impression that they're going to connect on Border Street and connect on South Main Street. And that's all they have to do. And I don't think that's all they have to do.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not
Wayne,
really
I
sure.
mean, you guys are certainly the subject matter experts. And Bill, I believe that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the current version of the memo we've crossed out the 140 and we've set it at 100,000 gallons per day, which is my understanding. That's a flow amount that, the engineering team in Cohasset feels is within the design for the project. So, I do know that we made that change hard to the document.
Yeah, and I think the 140 is again an amalgam of numbers that came out of the Wood and Curran study, like somewhat like 4 years ago, or whatever, 3.5, 4 years ago. So yeah, I think it'd be very reasonable for us to go back and tell them, let's revisit what the amount of stuff you're going to be sending us.
Yeah.
And I like to keep in mind that I don't think all areas of Cohasset that need sewer are being looked at or even thought of or doing anything about. And I think we have to reserve a certain flow for things that are going to happen. Look at, revitalization of the village or something. We're having a few more places done there. And other business on 3A and different things that aren't sewered today, that someone's going to say, like the Cook Estate, we need Fair Oaks Lane to be sewered. We need this to be done. We need this to be done. And we want to be careful that we haven't given away or somehow committed the capacity of the plant we have today.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, and that kind of drives home the importance of, I think in the document mentions explicitly, but we all understand that our IMA with Hull is part of that whole, right? So, whatever we do, going forward, protecting the town, does involve, having a continued partnership with our neighbors to the north, and that's just kind of math. So your point's certainly well taken, Wayne.
Okay, so I think the Cohasset Sewer Commissioners are in favor of some working with Situate to help them come up with a plan that can work for Situate, and also a plan that works for Cohasset. And then the big thing is the negotiations with Hull for a new IMA that would start before the end of the old one expires, or an IMA that is just dealt with. It looked like when I saw that Situate is responsible for paying whatever fees to Hull that they are going to charge for Situate septage, that takes care of that, but it doesn't necessarily take care of the maintenance of our distribution center that's carrying that flow to Hull. And I think that's something that we need to deal with.
And Wayne, I think at times, in fact, Corey, you probably remember this because I don't, but I believe at times we have talked about a conveyance fee or some way of developing a fund so that if we have a break or we have some sort of valve issue or anything that goes on, we've got funds to pay for it, and it doesn't come out of our ratepayers.
Yeah, absolutely. We made that clear at the meeting, and Situate understood it. And I believe it is referenced in the memo, to have a fund to share capital costs for any infrastructure that is being, used by multiple parties. So that's certainly, that's number 1A on the radar. to be sure that all of those costs are accounted for properly. But again, this is just at the select board level. You know, Wayne, I think what you just said is spot on, that the conversations that you guys need to have to get into some of these are important. And obviously the select board is involved because it's, you know, anything that's between towns would, you know, require select board as well. So, you know, we want to be assistance to you. And if we, you know, if we can just clearly, you know, at least officially endorse your efforts, I think that'd be a good move so that you guys can go ahead and have those conversations with clear understanding.
So Corey, does anyone have to be on this call tonight, or is this purely the select board?
No, as long as, you know, I'm just going to, Chris is going to present it. And if there are questions, I will just, you know, basically exactly what I'm saying today. I will, you know, reiterate some of the things that were brought up today, including Paul's point that this is, you know, a non-binding agreement. And this is, you know, something which is living, that, you know, Cohasset has had feedback. But largely just let the select board, you know, chew on it just for a little bit and be able to speak about it publicly.
Okay. Great. Anybody have any other comments while Corey's on?
I don't, I just let us know when the next meeting is, or, you know, what Situate's thoughts are on the plan. I know that I was at the Elder Affairs monthly board meeting, and State Rep Machina was there, and she offered any assistance from her office for some sort of regional plan. I did tell her that the state would have to provide some sort of grants or funding for us if it's going to be a regional plan. And she was not opposed to helping us identify what the needs would be and what the funding would be. And I think they have a deadline of the end of April to put any sort of request in for the budget. For
Yeah,
this year.
and Paul, Jim Boudreau, the town manager of Situate, was on top of all of this stuff. He's already identified both federal and state grants and funding options. So,
yeah, I think that, you know, like to Wayne's point, you know, we need some sort of, you know, wastewater management plan. I don't know. I was told the cost of that's like $300,000 to $500,000. I don't know how detailed we need it, but certainly we need a plan for our own town first. And then when we add Situate to it, how does that affect our plan? And if we add ourselves to Hull, how do we affect the plan for all three towns? So,
yep.
Yeah. So if, you know, I could probably maybe talk to Brian Joyce about what that means if we need that type of plan. And I have no problem meeting with the gentleman in Situate to find out what he's already submitted for funding, but certainly the town of Cohasset hasn't talked about submitting anything. Yeah.
I think this can be one of, you know, if not the first topic, it will be the second one. So,
okay. Yeah. We have it's a short window of opportunity though with the legislature for discretionary spending to be put onto the bill.
Yep.
I'd like to add one thing too, and we seem they play a small part, but it could be a large part in terms of getting funding and stuff. And that is that Hingham should be a part of this as well, because we have to send sewer to Hingham that then sends it across the street to Hull. So we don't have a direct connection from Cohasset to Hull. We have a direct connection from Cohasset to Hingham to Hull. And we pay Hull a certain amount of that for every year. And we have to have another agreement with Hingham to have them do that. And their manhole and pipe size going to Hull may not take the capacity today of what we want to add to it to get to Hull if we go to that connection. If we somehow had designed a thing that goes from the end of Forest Avenue across the street into Hull and can get onto a pump station there, that might make it that's going to be the connection from Cohasset to Hull through that route. But then the sizes of the pipe in the street at the end of Forest Avenue might have to be increased or whatever to be able to send the flows there. But we'll always have to take the houses on Hull Street and send them to Hingham. So 4 towns getting together on a piece of paper, which I think Hingham would welcome, may be something that just increased your possibility of getting great funding by 25%, some number. Okay.
Yeah, that's great. And, I think, and it's on the MOU too. And to reiterate what Bill just said, yeah, Jim's on top of, and I think everyone's, the state level, paying attention. And, Paul's point about, the deadline coming up is a good thing to keep in mind. So, because, if we do, the state needs to be part of this. Absolutely. I think that's why the select board feels. So yeah, we'll chew on this, tonight. And just send you our official vote when it comes down, and then let you guys take the reins, and whatever support we can be, just let us know.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
So do we have any other business to discuss?
We had some business that came in about the $10,000 check from Cohasset,
CJC.
Right.
CJC. And I think we just refer anything that's of legalese and stuff to our attorney, and accept the check as a partial payment towards his expenses. If at some point we want to discuss some of the bills that resulted from inspections of manholes from the Tupelo Road area elsewhere, I think that's something that may be negotiated or whatever, because if we have to do work on that, it's work we probably had to do whether or not CJC came on board or not. It's just a matter of maintenance that in some cases hasn't been done over the years that should have been done.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I agree. We can take a look at the line items and identify which ones they are.
And by the way, we should make some plans to fix anything now that's critical in the system, whether it's a manhole that's leaking around the rim, or whether it's there's blocks that fell down that are in the sluiceway there or whatever, and have Woodward and Curran or whoever's going to do it get some of that work done.
Yeah, we were supposed to get an evaluation of Tupelo and Deer Hill from them. I don't know, Brian, if you ever heard back from them on both those stations?
No, I haven't received a report. I'll send an email right now to Rob.
It's going on 2 months now.
So we've gotten, some emails with just commentary on each one, but not an actual detailed report from a pump inspection.
Yeah, because we're going to run into this issue with Cook. It's, they're not going to want to pay what maintenance we should have done on Deer Hill. So if we can get this report from them, we can solve both issues at one time, so it doesn't keep bugging us.
Yep, agreed. Okay, anyone else have anything, Wayne?
No, I'm happy. I'd make a motion to adjourn if we're not, if we can.
Yeah, I'm liking the 9:30 format.
Yeah, I know it gives you a little bit more time in the day. So I'll second and do a roll call. Bill McGowan, aye. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.